Welcome back, everyone. It's just another day in the life as a military wife, and this week is a review. I wanted to cover the second edition of a book that I found really impactful. It's Parenting a House United by Nicholeen Peck, and she's just an amazing woman in general, so I want to talk to you about all of the work she's doing, and hopefully it's stuff that can help you and your family. As always, I am your host, Sam Wolf, and you're listening to Life of a Military Wife. So let's just go down memory road for a second. I have a degree in family life science and human development, and I thought I was going to be so prepared to be a parent because I had studied families. I had this down. And we had our first kid, and my husband joined the military, and we had our second kid, and I was halfway across the country, away from my mom and family, and didn't have a lot of a support system, was still trying to figure out military life, and I was just struggling. And my mom, I would call her and just try to get advice and help. And she pointed me towards this amazing woman. Her name was Nicholeen Peck. And this was years and years, over 10 years ago. And she said, "Oh, I heard about her. She was on this TV show. It's called World's Strictest Parents. But it's not that she's strict. She has these really great principles for teaching self-government, like teaching yourself and your kids how to take accountability and be responsible and all of those things." And I'm like, "Okay, sure, fine, Mom, whatever. Send me whatever it is." And I started to look into this, and I watched the episode from the BBC of Nicholeen Peck and her family on World's Strictest Parents, and I was just blown away with how well she related to these struggling teenagers and how she handled these really difficult situations and the turnaround that they saw in these kids' lives because of the skills she was able to help teach them. And I'm like, okay, maybe there's something to this. And so my mom started I started looking into her different stuff and different principles and things like that. And she has a ton of resources. So Nicholeen Peck started off her journey with discovering these skills and things because they became a foster family. And she and her husband had to do a lot of training as foster parents for struggling youth. And as she went through this program, she started to recognize principles and things that she was from different members of her family or things that she wanted to do differently, and started describing them and putting them down in simple ways that were easy to understand and teach to other parents. She now has a system. It's called Teaching Self-Government. She speaks at conferences. She's got a YouTube channel. She's got tons of books. She does lecture series and classes. She's the president of the Worldwide Women's Organization. She is just, honestly, kind of a superwoman, in my opinion. She has accomplished so much, and all because she loves families and wants to help families and people be successful. And the thing I have come to realize the more I have read her books and looked at her support materials and things, these principles aren't just for families, they're for effective human beings. And so then, as I was going through all of this, I realized she put out a second edition to her flagship book, which is Parenting a House United. And I got it and have been going through it, and I am quite literally only halfway through the second edition. It is a huge undertaking, but at the same time, there's an audiobook. So what I do is I listen to the audiobook and I go through the actual hard copy at the same time. But because this is all supposed to help families. She also has books that teach the four major principles that she talks about in self-government at a kid level. And my mom bought these for me and the kids when I was, still struggling. And, that young military mom just trying to figure things out. And the books are called London LeRae Says Okay, Porter Earns a Quarter, Paige Takes the Stage, and Big Win for Quinn. Now, the principles that she teaches are saying okay and doing things right away. So basically, just getting tasks done. That's one of the things to teach kids. Disagreeing appropriately, accepting no answers, and account like consequences, like accepting consequences. So that is, and there's so much more that she teaches, but we have been working on these. And oh my gosh, there's just so much to tell you guys. Anyway, we have been working on these for years in our family, and we still have a lot of work to do. But these are principles that I think are something that everyone needs. It's not just something we need to teach our children. I noticed the importance of accountability and all of these things when I became a mother because I realized I needed to teach this. I wanted to raise children who were going to be effective adults, who were emotionally healthy and good communicators and successful. And to do that, there are skills they need, basic skills they need. And there is a myth that society perpetuates, or at least in the mind of children. And I feel like some people grow up and still believe this myth. And it's that adults can have anything they want. Once you're a grown up, you can do whatever you want. Yes and no. Yes, you have more control and you are accountable and you can point your life in certain directions. But even as adults, we still have to accept no answers. I am an adult. I can drive as fast as I want on a freeway. But if I get into an accident, then I've got to accept that consequence. Or if I get pulled over and get a ticket, I have to accept that consequence. Or I can choose to accept the no answer of not driving as fast as I want on a freeway and follow the speed limit. And helping kids understand that even as adults, we have to accept no answers, that there are going to be times that life or society or circumstance tell us no, or that we have to tell ourselves no. Yes, we have money, we have an income, but I can't buy anything I want. If I spend my money on buying all the toys or trips or whatever that I want, or clothes, I wouldn't have money to pay the bills or buy food or things, pay for medical expenses or things like that. There are priorities. We have to tell ourselves no. So there's going to be times that you may want to buy something and you have to tell yourself no. So as we can teach our children or people around, the people like that we have the opportunity to affect and influence, help them with these things. Maybe we don't have kids ourselves, but maybe we've got nieces and nephews. We can help them understand the need to accept no answers. And this is something that is fundamental in society. For societies to work, we have to learn to govern ourselves. The other one that I really feel is got a lot of value to it is the importance of disagreeing appropriately. And you all have heard me use that phrase before, and this is where it comes from. It is from her teaching how to disagree appropriately. And then, so when we disagree appropriately, first of all, we've got to start off with, stating that that's what we'd like to do. Respectfully, I'd like to disagree. And then we state our opinion. When we disagree appropriately, though, that doesn't mean we're always going to get what we want. And very frequently, I've seen with my children when we talk about disagreeing appropriately and they try to disagree appropriately, they think that just because they're disagreeing appropriately, they're going to win. They're going to get what they want. That doesn't always happen. And accepting no answers and disagreeing appropriately go hand in hand, because when we disagree appropriately, sometimes we will still have to accept that no answer. And by accepting a no answer, you have to let it go and move on. You got to drop the subject. And that's something that society can sometimes struggle with. And as an adult, you kind of want to keep pushing until you win. You're like, I feel like I'm right. But there's a time and a place to fight for what you believe in. And there's a time and a place to disagree appropriately, walk away, drop the subject, move on. So that's just a sampling, a very small, quick sampling of some of the principles and stuff that she teaches. And like I said, there's 4 books, there's 4 core principles, but she also talks about the importance of setting a tone in your family. And that is, to me, been the key. And she talks about power struggles. And this is something that has hit home. Whenever there is a power struggle between me and my kids, or whenever I notice a power struggle happening, 99% of the time, probably 100, it's because I did not handle something appropriately. I overreacted or got frustrated or didn't disagree appropriately or didn't accept a no answer. And then that starts a power struggle with my kids. And I have to stop and realize, oh, okay, I didn't handle that right. An example of this is a couple weeks ago. My daughter walked up and picked up my cell phone, which I had left on the table, and was trying to play with my cell phone. And I just screamed at her. I just lost it. I'm like, I've told you not to touch my phone. And I lost it at her. And she just started screaming and throwing a tantrum and wouldn't function and wouldn't do her chores afterwards and was crying and sobbing. And I started saying nasty, mean things. And it just started a whole to-do. And I had to stop and I had to calm down and I had to realize, how do I want her to handle those situations in her life? If her brothers picked up a toy of hers or something of hers, do I want her to go and scream at them and tell them, hey, I told you a million times, don't touch my stuff? No, I don't want her to do that. I was frustrated because I have told her we've been trying to teach boundaries but at the same time, I did not have the right to lose my temper with her on that. And so I had to go to her, and she was on time. She was on a cool down in her room, and I had to apologize and say, you know what? I want you to be kind to your siblings when they have used something of yours without permission. And I want you to stay calm and talk it out with them and explain yourself. And I didn't model that behavior for you. And I have to work on staying calm and communicating kindly myself. That does not change the fact that that was my phone, and you're not supposed to be on my phone. However, I need to communicate kindly as well. So it's those moments. It's taking those moments to address the situation. Yes, what the kid did needs to be addressed, but also modeling for them the way you want them to handle things. And that has helped me a lot. And so one of the things that I absolutely love that I saw on her YouTube a while back is she has a class that she's now providing for free. Nicholeen Peck is, and she's got her YouTube channel, which I absolutely recommend. It's completely free. You should all subscribe. You don't have this is my suggestion. I would love it if you all subscribe to her YouTube channel. She is fabulous. She gives out a huge wide variety of tips and tricks every week. Huge range of topics. But one thing she put out was a one about calmness, and she is going to be providing a calm parenting toolkit class for free. And I'm going to put the link for this in the description below, as well as to her website and her books and her YouTube channel, because I feel like this is just an amazing resource for all of you. And it has really genuinely changed our family. She talks about family meetings and being on the same page as a parent and how different families look differently, how you can handle things if you are a single parent home versus a traditional family with two parents. Um, just a lot of different resources. And these are not skills that you have to wait to teach teenagers. These are skills that you can start teaching toddlers. You can, and just here, the other caution that she gives is don't wait until you have these skills mastered yourself before you start working on them as a family. Do it as a family. And that is where we're at. We are working on these as a family. We have gone through a huge journey in the last 10 plus years of being exposed to teaching self government. And we are improving every day, but we still have a lot to work on. But setting the tone as a parent, setting a tone as a person, these principles can be taken into the workplace. They can be taken into your community. And that's really what it's meant to do. Our home is the foundation for our community. And once we learn these principles in the home, we can take them out and better our community and our workplace and our world. And that is, to me, a huge value with these, is just becoming a better person. And I think that's going to probably be the whole theme of this year is becoming. What do we want to become? And Nicholeen Peck also talks about having a mission statement. I've talked with you guys before about mission statements. Stephen R. Covey talks about them. Nicholeen Peck talks about them. The Atomic Habits guy, he's talked about mission statements. I just blanked on his name. But a lot of these wonderful people who I have encountered over the years who have helped teach me skills and concepts that have helped me improve my life, they all go back to mission statements. It's knowing what you're aiming for. And that once you know what you're trying to achieve, you'll be able to reach it. And so another thing that she talks about that I love and we're working on as a family is if you're struggling with those mission statements, it's think about 20 years in advance. Think about 20 years from now. What do you want your family to look like? Let's say your family is getting together for Christmas. What do you want that to feel like? And I think I've mentioned this before, but that really helped me. Then she talks about meetings, having family meetings where you can praise each other and encourage each other, having couples meetings. She has structures, like she helps come up with a way to do that if you don't know where to get started. Mentoring meetings between you and your kids one-on-one to get a feel for where they're at in life and what they need help with and what they just want to talk about. It's just that literally I feel like this book sometimes is like drinking through a fire hose, but I love the fact that there's an audiobook and a printed copy, and going through them together at the same time really helps. And if you can just get the audiobook and not even the printed, it works. These are fabulous skills and techniques. And my son saw the book because he's been watching me read it. And he's like, "What's this all about?" I'm like, "Go ahead and read it. It's good." He's like, I think my kids see some of my parenting books and my college textbooks and books that I review for you guys here on the podcast. And they think, "Oh, these are mommy's top secret books. These are her tips and tricks. These are, adult secrets." And I'm like, "No, they're not. They're for everyone. Here you go." My daughter started reading Atomic Habits. She's 9. My 11-year-old son picked up Parenting: A House United, wanted to figure out what it was like. Said, "Go for it." Neither of them finished either of those books. Oh my goodness. My daughter, because my older daughter, wanted to help out with baby cuteness. She got super excited when she saw Happiest Baby on the Block on my shelf. And she started reading it because she's like, "I want baby cuteness to be happy." And so she was like trying to read it and teach herself this. And I'm like, "That's awesome." A lot of those techniques are for younger babies, not a 1-year-old though. And so I had to kind of help her with it a bit and talk her through why that some of the stuff she was trying might not work very well. But but they want to learn these things. Kids want to learn and grow and improve. And I love Nicholeen Peck's books for kids because it helps the parents understand how to address these concepts in simple ways, but it also helps the kids so you can do it together. And wherever you're at with your family, or even if you're just single and you feel like there are some skills you want to learn to be more effective in your life, I would really recommend her book. She's got another really great book that I love. It's called Roles. She has lots of wonderful, fabulous resources you can check out. You can buy them on Amazon, you can get them on her website, whatever works for you. There's lots of different ways of getting them, but that is what I wanted to share with you this week is there's a second edition of Parenting a House United, and it is fabulous. She breaks down a lot of resources. She gives wonderful, great explanations, and I have just really enjoyed reading this book and going through it. And there's a reason why she's a best-selling author. I had reached out to her and her company and was hoping that we could have her on the podcast to talk about the stuff herself, but I've yet to really hear back because she's just so busy. So maybe someday I will be able to surprise you with a guest appearance of one of my favorite people when it comes to parenting. Um, but until that day, I just wanted to share these resources with you. And I am still I'm putting together the interview schedule for this year. I have several that I am working on and lining up. If there are topics you want me to cover, books you want me to review, people you would like to recommend, or if you yourself would like to come on the channel and talk about resources or experiences that you have that can help and benefit the military community at large or just families in general, please feel free to reach out to me. I have my email address, my X account, and different ways to communicate with me in the description of every episode now. And I hope, as always, that you are looking for the good in the world, and that you are, as we look for the good in the world, that we can be part of that good as well. I am your host, Sam Wolf, and you are listening to Life of a Military Wife.